Bet. All right, we're live. We're live with it. All right, everybody, we're here. Let me know if you guys can hear me in the chat box. I want to make sure we're all good. Can everybody see me? Can you hear me? Welcome to the channel. I'm your boy Tony, the closer. I'm gonna teach you guys exactly how to get started in wholesaling real estate today. So anybody that's been brand new to following me or finding the channel, welcome to the channel. I have a goal of helping 5,000 people this year make $100,000 wholesaling real estate, and I'm excited that you were able to join me today. So I want to just do a quick check, make sure everybody can hear my voice and everything is clear, and we'll get everything started. What's up? What's up? What's up? Hey, let me know if you guys can hear me and everything. I'm not sure. I'm getting these delays in here. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. Okay. Audio good. Okay. Perfect. All right. I'm starting to see the chat kicking in. All right. Perfect. Do me a favor, if you got a friend or somebody that you think might find this information valuable, I want you to go ahead and invite them into this YouTube session here. One of the things that's going to be cool about this session is a little bit different than Instagram, so you guys got to excuse me because some of this tech is a little bit different streaming to YouTube. But I'm really excited about coming up here today and really helping everybody understand how to get started, because one of the things I hear so frequently is that question. Like, everybody comes to me and says, Tony, man, I'm ready to get started. I'm seeing all these people cashing checks, making money. How do I get started? Where do I go? Maybe you heard about wholesaling. Maybe you got a little bit about it, but you really don't understand what wholesaling is, how you can leverage wholesaling, and I'll be able to break this down for you today. I want to just make sure once again that we can all hear you while we're doing this now. While everybody's loading in right now, I want to make sure everybody do me a favor right now. If you haven't already, be sure that you subscribe to the channel and make sure that you press that thumbs up notification and show me some love. It's a wonderful day today. Everybody's home today, so I want to try to make sure we can get as many people here on the training, and you can get to ask your questions, and we can make sure that obviously at the end of the day, you're fulfilled with understanding exactly where do you start wholesaling, because that's probably one of the biggest things. Now we got people who heard about wholesaling. They seen some people posting deals and checks in the Facebook groups, or maybe you even seen one of the deals I posted. Well, this business is very easy to do, but I want to make sure before we get started, and we got one hater already put a thumbs down. Good job, hi hater. How you doing? But we want to make sure that everybody gets top quality information to be able to get started wholesaling right away, because if you get the information, you can go and get paid, and it's a repeatable process. And last year alone, I helped over 1,200 plus people get their very first contract wholesaling real estate. This year, I wanted to step up the ante a little bit more, and I wanted to make it to now where we're going to really be focusing on not just getting your first deal, but once you get your first deal, how do you make $100,000 wholesaling real estate? If you want to know like how you can really go and supplement the income you're currently making, or even if that's replacing your W-2 job, or maybe you don't even have income right now, you're looking for a way to be able to produce income, wholesaling has been something that's allowed me and multiple people throughout the country to be able to really start with very low money needed at all. And then the best part about it is you don't need a realtor's license. You don't need to have any amazing credit or anything like that, because you're not going to be using hardly any money. You're going to be putting down earnest money, and I'll talk about what exactly earnest money is. When it comes to credit, you're not actually buying a house. You're actually just you're putting a property under contract, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. And then we just assign our interest in that contract to an end buyer, who in turn, we get paid from that. So we're literally going to be middleman in our way to making a ton of money. This is something that's done all over the country. I know some of you might be asking yourself, hey, is this legal? and it is very much legal. I know there are states that have began putting legislation in place to kind of make it a little bit harder. I know Chicago, Illinois area is probably one of the main ones that has had very tough restrictions put in place. But most of the country right now still allows wholesaling. It's very, very legal. This is a way that's helped. I made my last year alone. I made over 6 figures, and I know so many other people have been able to do exactly the same. So let's continue to make sure that you guys are smashing that thumbs up button. And if we got 87 plus people in here, I expect to see at least that, because we're getting a free game today. So make sure you share this with as many people as you can. Drop this in Facebook groups, and make sure that here somebody said get that hater out of here. And make sure that if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, because I literally every single day will be putting out new videos, new content to help you get started, to help you make 6 figures and beyond wholesaling real estate. And this thing right here is the real deal. This is something that, like, literally once you get your first one, you see how easy the process is. It's very repeatable. It's amazing. One thing I will tell you about wholesaling real estate is it's not a get rich quick scheme, but if you put in the work, you'll have some amazing rewards. And as a matter of fact, tonight I'm going to be doing a live podcast with one of my students from last year, who has already generated over $190,000+ in January alone. Absolutely insane. And we're going to talk about how he was able to do that, plus the fact that last year he literally had just got started in wholesaling real estate. He booked a one-on-one coaching call with me, and from that call, he's now generated almost $700,000+ wholesaling real estate. So this business is very, very, very rewarding. It's one that requires some work. But I want to talk about a couple things about exactly what is wholesaling, how do we leverage wholesaling, and then how do you get started? Because at the end of the day, the business itself is pretty self-explanatory, but I want to make sure that you understand the steps to get started. And I know we can complicate this thing and make it where it can be extremely long process. But I want to break this thing down into like 5 different things that you need to do to get started wholesaling real estate in 2020. So once again, if you're just joining into this live stream, make sure you smash that thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel, because this information that I'll be providing will be live here left on the channel, in addition to all the other content that I have up here. I promise you, if you use this information that I'm giving you on this live call right here, plus more, it'll absolutely help you make money moving forward in 2020 wholesaling real estate. So the number one way to get started wholesaling real estate is that you gotta take action. I think everybody that comes onto my channel and follows me and listens to all the stuff that I train, and they see all the success that other people have, everyone who has got into the business and had instant success or success rather quickly is because they didn't take the time to try to figure out everything all at once. They implemented it throughout the process, and they really learned on the go. I encourage you. Obviously, I want you to be knowledgeable in the process. I want you to be able to get out here in the field and not sound like you're a dummy or naive. But at the same time, like, we're not going to complicate what wholesaling is. And I'll talk about exactly what that is. Wholesaling, for everybody that doesn't know what wholesaling is, this is literally finding off-market properties. What is an off-market property? Any property that you see that's not listed on the MLS. And the MLS is what your realtors typically use, and where people go to shop and buy retail homes. What we're looking for is properties that are off-market properties. These properties are properties that somebody's currently living in or may not be living in, meaning they're either an absentee, which you'll hear a lot of people talk about absentee, which means that person doesn't live in that residence, or is somebody that's actually an occupant of the property where they currently live at. And what we're doing is we're looking for people who might have some form of motivation to sell their home, but maybe the home needs a little bit more work than what's required, than they can actually afford to be able to list it on MLS or something of that nature. So to put a property on MLS and sell it with a realtor, people typically have to have a little bit of money to be able to make sure that the house is in a good livable condition, and that it's a certain standard for what's allowed to be able to be listed on MLS. But the cool thing is that there are people who are out there in the marketplace actually looking to acquire properties for a discount. These guys are fix and flip type people, buy and hold people, people who are trying to find ways to invest their money, maybe hide some money for tax reasons or whatever. Well, these people maybe be looking to buy properties for a discount, maybe hold on to them for a while, fix them up real quick, and get a quick flip. Well, the good thing is for most homeowners that don't fit the typical MLS standards, which means that it has to be able to get to a certain look, feel, and everything with repairs before it can be sold. Maybe they don't have the capital to be able to get that property up to those standards. So what we do is we target people who typically have properties that aren't going to be able to be listed on MLS. They're not going to be sold on a market like that. But because they have some minor repairs or maybe even major repairs that need to be done to the property, a lot of people don't know that there's other options outside of selling it on MLS or as a for sale by owner. And what we do is we can educate our homeowners on options that they can take in order to do business and sell their homes without having to actually list it with a realtor and pay those expensive fees. On average, it's anywhere between 6 and 7% is what somebody will have to pay when they list a property with a realtor or a listing agent. So we want to make sure that we know these type of things. So the second thing I want to talk about when we talk about how do you get started wholesaling real estate is obviously the fact that you actually have to understand that the process of wholesaling is after we find these off-market properties that are extremely discounted. What we want to do is we want to take that property and be able to market it as the middleman. And basically what we do is once we get the property under contract, so say for example, we just talked about in step one, taking action and finding these properties that are off-market properties that homeowners are looking to sell. Now we go and we negotiate basically 70% or less of what the actual value is minus repairs. And I'll make another video that I'll talk about how do we come up with the comps and things of that nature later. But basically what we're doing is we're taking 60 to 70% of what that house is worth, and that's what we want to try to put it under contract for or less. The cheaper the better, because it obviously gives us room to be able to make it a sweeter deal to our end buyer. So the process of wholesaling is literally we find that off-market property. We find an off-market property and we get under contract for a very, very great price. Then what we do is now that we have this contract signed by this homeowner, we take that same contract and now we market that contract to an end buyer, maybe a fix and flipper, a buy and hold type specialist or somebody of that nature. And the reason that we market it to them is because they actually are out looking for properties that they can actually go and put their money into, but maybe they haven't been able to find those deals, and everybody loves a great deal. So what we want to do is we want to take, for example, and assign our contract to that end buyer. So for example, if we find a house that's worth $100,000, we contract that house that's worth $100,000 for $60,000, for example. We now take that $60,000 contract and we assign that $60,000 contract for $65,000 or $70,000 to the end buyer. Why is that a good deal, right? For example, now the homeowner who's been trying to get rid of their property that we obviously know they were struggling to be able to get the property repaired or up to livable, MLS conditions or what have you. They now don't have to worry about going out and selling a home anymore because we take care of that prop. And now we go find these end buyers, these people that need to invest their money or fix and flippers, and we now sell them a very, very good deal. And people always ask me about how do I struggle with finding cash buyers? Well, anybody can tell you, for example, if I told you right now that you could go and get a brand new Mercedes S550 for $100,000, and it was worth $100,000, nobody would really be incentivized or attracted to it. But if I told you, hey, look, man, I got a slightly used S550 with low miles that you can get for $40,000, yet it's worth $70,000. Now you're looking at something like, hey, that's a very good deal. And the best part about it is because it's worth 70, if you go and now wholesale that, because wholesaling is not just limited to real estate, it's cars or whatever. You could literally say, hey, now I'm going to take the my actual car and I'm going to sell it to somebody else for $45,000. I can make a $5,000 profit. So what are we doing? We're taking and putting a property under contract, from the homeowner. We're now going and taking it and using that contract that we have, and we have typically 30 days from the time that we put it under contract to be able to go find a cash buyer. We typically put inside of our contract that this contract is assignable, and that the fact that because it's assignable, we may either take that property down, meaning that we'll buy it ourselves, or that we'll find an end buyer for it. And we have a due diligence period, which allows us some options to be able to back out of the deal if everything isn't to where we can satisfy the numbers that we put it under contract for. So you don't have to stress or worry about, okay, Tony, what if I get a property and it's too high or whatever? You're not going to have to be stuck with a property. You're not going to have to buy the property. It just means that you have some options inside your actual contract. And inside my private Facebook group, we have contracts in the file section that'll help you be able to use that if you don't have any contracts currently. So let's talk about what we do now. So we got this property under contract. We got the cash buyers, or we're searching for our cash buyers. We take and put $5,000 or $10,000 profit on what we actually contracted the property from the homeowner for. So the homeowner gives us that property for $60,000. We sell it assign it to the cash buyer for $70,000. And now when we go to the title company marries all this stuff together. We actually get our $10,000 check. The homeowner gets the $60,000 that we had put under contract for the property, and then the new cash buyer, he now takes over that property and owns that property, and everybody's happy. So that's, like, in a nutshell, that's literally the wholesaling aspect. And then we got to talk about number 3. What is wholesaling and how you get started in wholesaling is all about marketing. You have to talk to enough people in this business. And one of the things that I see so frequently from new and even seasoned wholesalers is that they're not playing the numbers to their advantage. And when you're not playing the numbers to your advantage, you're going to struggle to be able to get in contact with motivated sellers. And then you're going to probably get a little down and frustrated, and you won't be able to get people under contract or being able to get in contact just because you're not playing the numbers game. And I think it's very important. I think so many people underestimate the importance of marketing inside of wholesaling. Like, that's like one of the top things that you see that separates the people who are successful versus not being successful. When you get into wholesaling, there's many ways that you can market. Some of the ways that I suggest people starting off getting in marketing are for one, obviously, and is cold calling. You can put out bandit signs. You can do mailers. You can do ringless voicemail. You can do text message blasts. You can do Google and Facebook ads. But what I really recommend for people when they're really getting started is to use things that will help you be able to get in contact with the seller, like it do with the times. And due to the fact that we're in 2020, my favorite way of marketing to motivated sellers and getting in contact with them is through either cold calling and SMS blasts. I think you guys have to understand, I think cold calling is pretty good, but I think my number one way, and I shared that in another video, and I'd be glad for you to go take a look at that video, is SMS blast, because SMS blast literally gives you the ability to get in contact with people and not disrupt their day. Most people who are going throughout their day really don't have a problem with stopping, looking down at their phone for a second, and then being able to understand that, okay, what this person is reaching out to me for. Typically what you have in a cold call is trying to reach out to somebody that's never heard from you before, and giving out your spiel real quick and hoping that they keep you on the phone long enough and not curse you out and hang up on you. The best thing I like about SMS and SMS blast is that the fact that I know that the people that actually engage with me, they actually now in turn know why I have reached out to them, and I typically will be able to weed through the people who are motivated versus unmotivated to be able to, obviously talk to the people who have the highest motivation, and then obviously have follow-up sequences for the others who aren't as motivated. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the fourth thing, and probably one of the things that, like, most people really underestimate, and that's lead generation. So lead generation is literally finding ways to get in contact with motivated sellers. Down in the bottom of the description, you should be able to find some of the things and the resources I use. One of the main things I tell people is like getting started, if you don't have a great budget, is to get started by driving for dollars. Driving for dollars is one of the things I really recommend. Everybody do. I'm literally, one of the biggest advocates of this because I know what it does for any and everybody. And typically, if you haven't heard of driving for dollars and how that can be beneficial to you, literally what you do is you find an app. I use the app called Deal Machine. There's a promo down in the bottom somewhere where you can get a free trial. It's a 30-day free trial. Make sure you put the promo code 100K in 2020 in the bottom, and it'll help you be able to keep the 30-day free trial. But what the app Deal Machine does, I can't talk. Excuse me. What the Deal Machine app does is it gives you the ability to be able to keep track of all the properties and get the homeowners information as you go out and look at homes. And what we're doing is we're targeting homes that may look like there's some form of distress or something going on with it. So what that might look like is properties that might have tall grass, maybe looks unkept, boarded up, might look vacant. You might even see fallen trees and down trees laying on top of the home. You might see a tarp on a roof. You might see a missing roof. You might see the whole back side of the house is completely blown out. Maybe there's busted out windows. Anything that might look like this house might be a little under pressure or distress. We want to try to look at these properties and target them because typically what you'll find is that when you find properties like that, those homeowners for whatever reason may not be able to keep up with the property or maybe not even live in that property any longer. And they're still probably having expenses that are associated with the property. You can get those properties under contract and you can make money with them. Some of the things that I'll tell you is like some of my very best deals and some of my students' best deals have come from driving for dollars. I've had students that have made six figures literally only driving for dollars. Not any other source of advertising other than driving for dollars. Another thing that I really recommend is for people to understand that your courthouse is your friend. When marketing and getting all your data and everything, the most accurate place that you can get any data is at your local courthouse or town hall, wherever you may live. That might be a little bit different, but you want to go to your clerk of court's office and you want to start learning the process of where they keep all the files. And when you go online, you can typically buy a list. Some of your counties may even have websites where you can get a lot of that data. It just depends on where you live. But what I definitely recommend to everybody is to go downtown and get familiar with the courthouse and the process inside of the courthouse of what's going on. And things that I love to target, for starters, are pre-foreclosure leads. I like tax delinquent leads. I like somebody that might have code violations. We want to also look at people who might be going through divorce and also probate. And all these things will be found literally downtown. This is a free way to be able to gather this information. Well, the best part about that free information is that it's free, right? But some of that could potentially be a little time consuming, and it will require you to be able to go downtown and actually get in contact. Figure out and take notes, because these won't come in actual list format. They will literally come to you, and you will have to write and create your own list going down to your local courthouse or town hall. Be very mindful when you go to your clerk of court not to ask them for a list, because they don't create lists most of the time. Most of the time they're all individual files, so you have to create your own list by gathering all the data and then going back home and populating that stuff together. Another way that I definitely recommend for people who have a little bit more money to be able to budget, I recommend using PropStream. I see there's a link down in my description as well for the PropStream. And this is one of my favorite tools. Like for any real estate investor, any real estate professional, this is the tool that has literally helped me make six figures. And I'm talking about in my sleep, because it makes the process of finding lists, motivated sellers, and even your marketing and how you can get in contact with your cash buyers and everything else. It has everything. MLS access, cash buyers list. You can literally find any and everything right there inside that system. It's probably one of the most friendly, the best data in the nation, in my opinion, because it's giving you. For example, ListSource costs us almost 8 cents to be able to pull records, and they actually get the same data that ListSource have plus more. And the best part about it is that you pay the fraction of the cost. So you're paying $97 per month, and it gets you up to 10,000 records that you can pull. The only thing that you would now have to do after you get those records pulled is you would have to skip trace. I made a couple videos, a video about a couple days ago with the actual site that I use, my company Lead Genie, plus some free resources that you can go find as well if your budget doesn't allow you the ability to be able to go out and spend it right out the gate. Be mindful. Free isn't always better, because when it comes to data is going to be the way that you actually get in contact with your seller. And if you're not getting in contact with your sellers, you're going to have a hard time getting started. The reality is this business is strictly based off marketing and getting in contact with motivated sellers. So one of the things I encourage everybody is, like, when we go and we're doing all this marketing, building these lists, going to the courthouse and everything else, is not to get stuck on building up all these huge lists and then not actually reaching out to motivated sellers. So I believe I'm now at either number 4 or number 5. I can't remember, but number 4. If this is tip number 4, if it's number 5, whatever it is, I might give you an extra one. But the biggest thing that you have to understand is that this is daily work, and you need to be getting in contact with your seller. So now that you went and you gathered all these files, you gathered all this information, whether you went to prop stream, whether you drove for dollars, whether you went down to your local courthouse and created your own list, however you gathered this data, now your responsibility is to take that data and put it to work for you. And that's where this is where, like, a lot of people get nervous. This is where a lot of people hit the analysis paralysis. This is where a lot of people got to understand that we are literally going to help somebody, and it's going to help you change your life at the same time. Because what the biggest misconception is that you're inconveniencing someone that you're by reaching out to them and marketing to them for their property. Well, the reality is that there's a homeowner right now today on this very Martin Luther King Day that is stressed out because they're behind on taxes. They're about to lose their house to foreclosure. Somebody maybe has died. The city is now hit them with taxes, or the taxes have increased, and they need somebody like us, wholesalers, to be able to get in contact with them and let them know that they have options outside of just losing the property. And when you reach out to these people, it's your duty to give them information that can help them make informed decisions. It's your duty. If you're in this business, you should understand we're in a people business. And the more that we help people, the more that we can really give them solutions to what they're experiencing in their current life, we can actually be helping them out, and we get rewarded for doing so. So many people lose houses every single day in the United States, and so many of those people just needed somebody just like you to be able to pick up the telephone and tell them that there were more options that they didn't know were available to them. So one of the biggest things I want to really impress upon everyone is that you can't be fearful of actually making contact with your sellers. And I know when you get on these phones and you're like brand new in the business, you feel like you still need to know more. The reality is that we want to be getting and taking the action, right? And we fail forward. It's okay not to be perfect, but you have to take the steps forward in order to make sure that you are getting started. Because getting started is what you guys always ask me. How do you get started? You got to actually talk to motivated and unmotivated sellers. So it means you might get cursed out a little bit. You might have some people who are frustrated, but what you want to do, and what I really encourage, is like the people who express that they're not interested or not motivated, I want you to spend as little time as possible focusing on your marketing on them, and you want to spend more time talking to the people who actually have needs that they want to have met. So I don't spend a lot of time when it comes to somebody that tells me that, no, I'm not interested. If they tell you they're not interested, wish them well, and maybe you follow up with them in a couple weeks or a couple months, because you got to be mindful that people's situations, they change on a daily basis. And maybe somebody that's in a good position today may not be there tomorrow. I was actually one of those people that one day I was good and then one day I wasn't. I actually had a house myself that got foreclosed because my finances had went to shit. And it happens to people on a daily basis. Maybe you lose your job, maybe you got divorced. I had all those things above, and I went to jail. So people have life that happens to them. And if you can figure out ways to market to these actual sellers and get in contact with these people, you can help them that out of like a situation where they felt like they were going to completely lose, and now it becomes a situation where they win and you win as well. So definitely want to make sure that you don't get in your own way by not taking the steps and contacting these sellers, because talking to these sellers is going to be the number one way that you're going to get paid. I've had some of my best students like really get started, and literally in their first day, without any experience, have got in contact with motivated sellers, set an appointment up, and then they got paid. Tip number 5, and this is the last tip of the day, and I want to tell you guys, this is the number one way not to get paid. I don't want you to over qualify your sellers. Like, one of the biggest ways of not getting started is by trying to eliminate everybody to make sure that they are low hanging fruit before you actually take the steps to be able to go to a property. So if you're looking to get your very first deal and you're trying to figure out how you get in contact with these sellers, now you got in contact with somebody, it's not your job to try to make sure that it's a deal over the telephone. What I encourage to everyone is to ask the right questions, and I'll have some things that I'll make available to you throughout the other YouTube videos that'll have some good framework for you to be able to discuss with these sellers. But you have to understand is that you can't eliminate your deal before it ever happens. And I'm gonna tell you a cool story right now because I think you guys need to hear this. So I talked to a lady last year in July, and we got in contact with this lady, and she told me that she was looking for $175,000 to $185,000 for her property. Well, the lady that I talked to, when she told me how much she wanted for a property, I literally ignored it because of my training. But let me give you just some an understanding of why that 175 to most people would have been something where they wouldn't even took the time in the deal. Well, the property probably ARV was closer to like 175 or 180, but the house needed a lot of work. The house needed over $100,000 plus worth of work. In addition to that, like what happens for most people is that when they hear these sellers speak on these numbers, it intimidates them, and then they no longer have the interest to go to the property because they feel as if that's not a potential deal, and they exit out. Well, I had this lady express that she wanted $175,000. And just like I do with all my other deals, I still ask all the right questions. I try to understand and gauge the motivation. If she's looking to make a decision in the next 3 to 6 months or a little bit longer, and just really want to see it, like where she was mentally. My team and I, we set the appointment. We actually went to this property. And this is the deal. Some of you that have been following me for a while, I literally closed and made $88,500. And the reason why I tell you why that's important is because she probably had talked to probably 35 other people in my market. I mean, she had people, as I was actually sitting at her home, people were blowing her up. Like, everybody's calling her. But what separated me from everybody else is I wasn't trying to negotiate and do all this stuff over the telephone. I made it a point to make the appointment. So my biggest thing is don't disqualify. Put yourself in a position to go get in front of motivated sellers. If you disqualify yourself at the beginning by trying to qualify, you're only going to miss out on money. I had one of my best deals ever. I've never had a deal that large. Literally, that put me in my first $100,000 month wholesaling, and it was like a $88,500 deal that literally changed the game. And the reason that it happened is because I didn't disqualify my lead because I was trying to get all the information right over the telephone. But instead, I went to the property, got in contact with the seller. We went and walked through, negotiated, and lo and behold, we had one of the best deals of my life. I encourage you to be able to follow these tips that I gave plus more to be able to get started right now in 2020. Like, we're 20 days in 2020, so it's crazy that we're on the 20th in 2020. And I'm gonna tell you, when you go in front of these people, they're gonna always tell you, outrageous numbers. They're gonna always give you something that's might throw you off. But you want to understand, like, people's situations change and people's motivation. Sometimes they just tell you stuff. You got to understand, you're supposed to be the real estate professional. A lot of homeowners maybe buy and sell 1 or 2 properties in their entire life. We're telling people we're real estate professionals and that we do this on a daily basis. Now, if we do this on a daily basis, we should be able to educate those homeowners on exactly how the process works and how we can help make their lives a lot easier. And if we take these tips that I share with you today and really just make sure that you're all about implementation and playing a numbers game, understand that this is all numbers. Every single bit of this is a numbers game, but you got to be in the game to be able to get paid. So I encourage you to be able to start taking action. Follow this content that I put out on my YouTube channel. I'm talking about, I have jewels on jewels on jewels all throughout this page that you maybe haven't had an opportunity to take a look at. But I promise you, I have had some of the craziest success stories by people who have taken this training and went and changed their lives, made new income, and now they're living the life that they always wanted to live by the way they wanted to design it. And I encourage everyone that's hearing my voice now, or if you're going to watch this later on a replay, to take this stuff serious. Don't hold yourself back and start taking action today. And I know, like, a lot of people look for more options. Maybe you want to try to work with me. Currently, right now, I'm not currently taking in any new students. I do have my Closers Club group, but we'll be working more throughout the year. But the biggest thing that I'll tell you is that I do have in the link in the description an option that you can take advantage of being able to join in to one of my programs. It's my Final 31, and my wholesale training is down in the comments below in the link in the description. I just encourage you, whether you join into the training or you take the free stuff that I have, I encourage you not to hesitate to take the action. You should be really committed to the daily work that's required to be able to be successful in this industry. You will get paid in 2020 if you lock in, you commit, and you make this your passion. I'm your boy, Tony the Closer. I appreciate you guys all joining today. Do me a favor. If you enjoy this type of content, if you like to see more content like this, maybe you like seeing it live versus the pre-recorded content, make sure you smash the thumbs up button if you haven't already. I see over 100 plus people in here, and we don't have over 100 likes. So if you're sitting in here right now and you listen to me speak for the past 10, 20, or 36 plus minutes, make sure you smash that thumbs up button. Do me a favor and join inside my group, the private Facebook group, the 100K Club. I promise you, like, we're going to be giving you guys throughout 2020 some of the best strategies and systems to help you get paid. And for everybody that's inside of my my 100K Club Facebook group, I'm hoping to have it ready next week, where I'll put a daily calendar. So I'll be literally giving you guys a daily calendar of the exact steps that you should be taking. So I know so many people ask me, like, hey Tony, where do I start? What's the steps to the process? I'm going to actually give you the marketing strategy for the daily marketing that I use inside my system. If you guys want to see that type of stuff, if you want to know exactly the steps that you need to take, make sure you tap into the 100K Club Facebook group. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and continue to smash that like button, man. I love when I see all those thumbs popping up on my screen. Once again, thank you for joining today. I'm your boy, Tony the Closer. I'm going to keep coming back with new fire content. Make sure you check me out on Instagram at Tony the Closer, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.